Happy Friday.
Behave yourself. Happy Friday, everybody. We're excited to be on here and share with you some real details on how to create a beautiful finish with your lacquer. I always get nervous. I don't know how Jean is going to behave when we do these. So you're going to be good, right? Okay. All right. It's because Jean is truly a master refinisher. Those of you that don't know, when you pop on here and you see this on Instagram or whatever social media channel you prefer. But we were furniture manufacturers for
Over 30 years.
over 30 years. And so we took the processes of manufacturing furniture and we put those into a product that we patented, and we created all the things that we felt that you needed to be able to know to be able to create those same looks that we were creating on our furniture many years ago. So we love educating you. Probably you're going to notice the Amy Howard at Home company really, while we have a lot of DIY products, why we love interior design and we love crafting a beautiful life, our whole idea of doing this and even having our great artists in residence is to educate you. There's nothing worse than trying to henpeck your way around the internet, trying to figure out how to do something. So we really want to give you the tips and the tricks on how to create a beautiful finish. And today we're focusing on you want to hold that up?
Our Lux Lacquer.
Our Lux Lacquer. So for many, many years, we created beautiful factory looking finishes with lacquer, and they are timeless, really bright, very highly pigmented colors can make the entire difference in a room. Whether it's with your kitchen cabinets, you can use the Lux Lacquer on kitchen cabinets. You can use it indoors. You can use it outdoors. It is perfect for your front door. It's perfect for our interior doors.
That I've got to fit.
And it has a UV protectant in it. So you can put it on your front door, and you can also use it on your outdoor furniture, whether it's iron. You can use it on your mailbox. You can use it on anything, even wicker that you have outdoors. It really is a lot different than your average paint in the fact that, one, it is an enamel, it is highly, highly glossed, and it has a high pigment content in it. So a lot of people, like I literally drove by a consignment shop yesterday and I saw these great looking, kind of dingy looking brown wicker chairs. And I thought if those were white lacquer, they could look like $1,000,000. So we're going to walk through today how to use a sprayer on using the Lux Lacquer, because one, spraying is easy, but the other thing is we're going to show you that we have a setup over here to be able to use either in your garage or outdoors, because there are tips and tricks that you need to make sure that you do, especially spraying and painting in the kind of heat that we have right now.
And also, just to be specific, this is not a nitrocellulose lacquer. This is not the type of furniture lacquer that you would think of lacquering furniture with, that you've got to be very careful. You can't use it outside. This is an oil-based enamel.
Yes,
with
very, very hardy.
It's got a 96% reflection, so that the gloss is just super duper on it.
It is.
And so, and it also, where the nitrocellulose lacquer has to be sprayed, this is brushable.
Yes.
So we can use a synthetic brush. We can use a roller. We like to use a microfiber roller, or you can spray it, which we're going to show you the spray today.
So the thing is, you can, as Jean was saying, you can brush it. And we do have beautiful, larger, this is our 3-inch nylon tapered brush. I can get that on there at Amy Howard. You can use this. You can also use our tapered brush. You don't want to use a natural bristle when you're working with when the Lux Lacquer.
Right.
This will lay it down more.
Right. This will help reduce the brush stroke.
All right, so can you show, I'm going to turn the camera down. As you pop on here, say hello. And oh my gosh, Lisa, that's so exciting. That's so exciting. I know. Here's the deal. If we can educate you and teach you how to use these different products and to get these looks that you see in magazines, then it makes consignment stores, estate sales, and thrifting that much more fun. Because let's face it, I mean, it's about, it doesn't matter how much money someone has, or it's really, to me, it's about enjoying the bragging rights, but also it's about taking something that was manufactured very well, that has a history, and maybe the patina is just not there or is not as utilitarian. Take the hardware off and get some new hardware and put this in a beautiful bright color lacquer, and it's going to look great. All right, so I'm going to turn this down. As you pop on here, say hey, and know that we have a code that we'll have here in the messaging for you, as far as being able to get 20% off on all the Lux Lacquer today, and as well as the primer for you to be able to do your projects. So I'm going to turn this down. I'm looking at, okay, so the code is Lux Live. What a great code. Lux Live is the code. So when you go to checkout on Amy Howard at Home, just type in Lux Live, and we'll have that up there for a few days as you watch this video. Here's the other thing. Don't forget to share this video, tag your good friends that love to craft a beautiful life as well. And that way your name goes in for drawing, and we're going to be giving away a lacquer and a primer for the lucky winner, and we'll pay to ship it to you. So all you have to do is share this video, tag some good friends, and they'll appreciate the knowledge as well. All right, so I'm going to turn this down. And Gina, if you would bring that over here, so that way I want to make sure that they can see this as you're mixing. Beautiful.
That's great. All right, so what I'm doing, I'm mixing up our primer. The primer, the reason for the primer is one, if you're using raw furniture, if you've got raw wood, you've got no finish whatsoever, no clear coat, you want to use the primer to seal that wood because your wood's porous and it's going to absorb the paint. And in this case, the primer will help prevent that, and it'll also give you a much smoother finish, final finish on that.
Which would also increase the intensity of the sheen, correct?
Yes, because the smoother your finish, the more sheen, the more gloss you're going to have.
Now, I do want to ask questions, like sometimes that people would ask, and by the way, ask questions on here, and Gina and I will go back and we'll actually help answer them. But if somebody is using the Lux Lacquer on their ceramic tile, like in a bathroom, or if they're doing the Formica, or if they're doing a backsplash, or do they need to use the primer?
No, the primer is, again, it's just, if you've got raw wood, if you've got grainy wood, even let's say the wood has a finish on it, it's been stained, it has a clear coat on it, or maybe even painted, but you can see the little pores of the grain in there. This will, it's almost like a grain filler. It's going to fill those grains, because what we're going to do, we'll spray it, let it dry, and then we're going to sand it so that we'll level that out, and it'll give us a nice smooth base in order to do our Lux Lacquer on.
Awesome.
So also, you're going to notice when you use the primer and you use the Lux Lacquer, the primer is much thicker, and that's
Why is
because
that?
it's a buildup so that it fills the pores, seals the wood,
Love that.
and it's easier to sand too. So we're going to pour some into our container here.
Now, why are you pouring that into that container instead of your sprayer container?
Well, what we're going to do, we're going to thin this a little bit because we're spraying. If I was brushing or rolling this,
You would thin it.
we would not do that.
Okay.
But because we're going to spray it, when you spray, you've got a very, very tiny opening in your tip. The best orifice to use as far as your tip is a 0.011 to a 0.013.
Can you say that again?
0.011 to 0.013. That's the orifice size of the tip you want to use.
Now, how will they know that? And can you show them real quick what the orifice is? And I'm sorry. Let me,
Okay.
okay, sorry.
So here's your tip. You're right there
On your sprayer.
on your sprayer, and there's an orifice. That's the opening that the paint's coming out. The opening does have, each one has a size to it, and you want to use a 0.011 to a 0.013 opening.
Awesome, thank you.
And then we're going to pour a little mineral spirits. We're using mineral spirits.
When you say a
Thin
little,
this.
how do I know?
Well, what we're going to do is we just want to thin it down a bit.
A bit.
a bit. You know, as far as percentages, you're probably going to use 5% or
Okay.
less, maybe 3%.
Okay, just a little.
Just a little, because again, you don't want it too thin. And as we do this, just some of the tips, I cannot express this enough, is that you do not want to put heavy coats on. If you put a heavy coat on, this is going to sag. It's going to start puckering and cracking. So we don't want to put it on heavy.
Guys, as you pop on, please tell us hello and where you're tuning in from. And don't forget to take advantage of the code that we have today because you're catching our live. It's Lux, Luxe, live, Live, Lux Live. And that code is going to give you 20% off on all of the Lux Lacquer and the primers today. That's a big deal.
Is it, what's it called? Caps? Do you have
No,
all
just,
caps?
no, it's
Okay.
just lowercase, just Lux Live.
Okay.
All right, so now you've put about 3%, 3 to 5% of the thinner in there. And now you're gonna take a paper cone.
Next thing we'll do, we're going to use a paper cone to strain. So when you're spraying, any little tiny particles could clog up your tip. So we're going to use this
Do you
to
want me
be
hold
able
it?
to, oh, that'd be great. Thank
Okay.
you. And
Where would somebody get these?
you can get that
cones?
at any paint store or any hardware store that sells paint.
Okay,
Just want to make sure we've got this well mixed.
can I get it on Amazon?
Oh, I'm sure you can get it on Amazon too.
Okay,
You can also tell if you have not thinned this enough, your paint will just sit and puddle and won't run through the strainer, the filter.
I want them to just see. Can I hold that up? Maybe not. All right,
There you go.
okay. Perfect.
All right.
Is that enough in there?
Yeah, for what we're going to do.
Okay. What sprayer would you recommend?
You know, this is just an HVLP sprayer. The motor is in here. They have some that there's the motor separate, and you wear it just like a purse. It's what do they call a merce, man? uh, that you wear. It has a hose that goes to the trigger, the pistol, and you spray it that way. This is all in one.
Okay.
It's a plug and play. You just plug it in and away you go.
All right, so I'm gonna pull this up. Hold on just a second. Hang with me. All right, so are y'all ready? Sorry. Let's raise this up and we're gonna come over here. All right. Okay, you try to talk kind of loud. Hold on, I'll see if I can get just a little bit closer because I want to make sure that they can hear you.
Now, most of any sprayer you get, and if you're going to do this with any length of time as far as an ongoing thing, get a good sprayer. Uh, they're going to run somewhere in the neighborhood at the hardware store, paint store, $125, $150 up to get one. Most, if not all of those, are going to have an adjustment on it as well. So that adjustment will allow more air pressure, less air pressure, and you can adjust that. And as you can see, we've got a piece of cardboard in here that's going to allow me to use as a sample, because I don't want to try to spray my piece of furniture or cabinets and then and be spraying too much or not enough. And it'll run.
Okay, before you get started, can I show everybody what you're working with? What is this? What's around you?
Well, this is our spray booth. This is our makeshift portable spray booth. It's just a spray tent, and you can use this in your garage. You can use it outside. The nice thing about it is that it will contain the overspray. When you use a sprayer, you're going to get overspray. So this contains that overspray. Uh, we don't recommend you spraying in the house because inevitably it's going to probably get on something, as well as you need a well ventilated area too. So that's putting out a little heavy. So what we're gonna do,
That looks
that's
fabulous.
about right.
So they should always test that first on
Test it,
cardboard.
because you don't want to test it on your furniture because it could run and you have to
Sand it down and
sand it
start
down
all
and
over.
start all over. So we've got a drawer here. Now you can see we have gone in, there were places where the hardware was removed. We had some big dents. We had some areas that were little chips that there was so shallow, it wasn't worth filling. The filler wouldn't hold. So all we did was sand it. So we gave it a good sanding, and then we used our clean slate, get all the grease grime off. Highly recommend, almost demand, if you're going to sand, wear a respirator or an appropriate dust mask, because you don't know if that paint has lead in it. And you know what, as you've heard, lead is not is a bad thing. So we don't want to use that, get lead.
We don't know what they painted with it
So
years
we don't know
ago.
what we have here, so always use a dust mask or a respirator.
I'm going to come over here so that way they can see.
And also, now, if you've never used a sprayer before, you want to start, you don't want to get on your piece and then pull the trigger. You want to start off of the piece, and then as you start across, do not start here. You're going to throw so much paint on it, it's going to sag and drip.
Good tip. Yay, that's beautiful.
That's it. That's all we want to do. Now, you can probably still see some of the touch up or where we did the repairs. That's okay, because we're going to do another coat. We're going to let that dry with our Lux Lacquer. We'll only need one coat on this. That's all we need. And again, we would rather go light than to go heavy.
All right, so now we need to get we've got one already finished.
Mhm.
I'm going to set this over here. Guys, so as you pop on here, say hey, and where can you get a spray tent? You know what, Michelle, I looked, they are on Amazon. You can go on Amazon and get these spray tents because they're great to be able to um, basically keep it enclosed and have it to where if you want to work in your garage, we would do that all the time. We would move our cars out of the garage, set our spray tent up in the garage, and then that way we were able to spray. Of course, don't use it in your house. The other thing is it's good to be able to use the tent outdoors. Now, here's our suggestion. After doing this for over 35 years, make sure that it's not a real bright, hot day. If you want to do it a little later in the day, of course, we're in Florida, it's really high humidity, but you don't ever want to paint in direct sunlight. What it's going to do is it's going to cause the paint to dry much quicker. A lot of people, it's like it's summer, we're doing projects outside, and especially the Lux Lacquer is so great for outdoor furniture. The people are like, I'm going to paint it outdoors. Yes, that's great. And the Lux Lacquer is great for iron, your iron furniture, almost anything metal. You can use it on concrete. You can use it on your front door. It has all the UV protection, but you do want to make sure that you're not dealing by spraying in really direct hot sunlight. All right, so Gene's getting this ready. I'm going to turn this around. I want you to be able to see what it is that he's doing. All right, so now we're working with the paint. Walk us through, babe.
All right, all we're doing is filtering the paint. Now, again, the Lux Lacquer is a little thinner than the primer. So I'm not needing to thin this down.
Okay, no, wait, let me back up. I want to make sure everybody heard that. You're saying when we did the primer, we thinned it,
We thinned it with mineral spirits.
but you're saying don't thin the lacquer itself?
No, it's not necessary.
Okay, Why is
and
that?
it's just because it's a little thinner viscosity.
Okay.
So it's not a necessity.
Okay.
Now we're going back in. And many times, especially a good sprayer, it'll come with more than one of the little paint containers. You can get, it'll come with an extra one, or you can buy extra, and they'll have a screw-on resealable top. So that way, if you're working with primer, you can just put the top on the paint container, and then it'll be airtight. It'll keep your primer ready for the next one. You don't have to keep pouring it in, pouring it out.
So one thing we want everybody to know, they don't have to spend a ton of money on an expensive heavy duty sprayer. They can get an inexpensive Wagner or something like this, or go online on Amazon and get one for $90, $100.
Yeah, yeah.
The thing is, this will speed up your process. When you're working with lacquer, it's going to give you a prettier finish, I think, don't you?
Oh, it is, because there's no brush marks. And
Right.
there's no texture from a roller.
All right, so let's go on and take this over. I'm going to move this back up. Thank you for hanging with us today. I know this is a lot of moving around, but we want to teach you how to do this right. All right, so here we go, back over. Test it on your cardboard first before you go on your piece. Can you talk to us real quick about what you just were doing?
All I'm doing was adjusting the flow, so I need more air to push that out because of it is a little thicker than the thin down primer was. So we just had to have some more airflow going.
Beautiful.
Go.
Beautiful. Now, are you ready to finish that for me to put in the guest bedroom? All right, so come. All right, so as far as walk everybody through, once this dry, how long do we need to let this dry?
Oh, gosh. So the primer needs at least 8 hours, 6 to 8 hours to dry before you sand it and get ready for your Lux Lacquer. Then your Lux Lacquer, you can spray a coat after 6 to 8 hours. You want to wait overnight. It's not, if this is not a, what is it? It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So you've got to spray it. You've got to let it dry overnight. The longer, the better. We like to do a light sanding between coats. Remember, respirator or the appropriate dust mask before you go on to it. Wipe all your residue from the sanding, get it down. It'll take 2 coats minimum with your Lux Lacquer. You want to use 2 coats.
Why is that? Why is it important? Because here's where a lot of us struggle. We want to put a lot of paint on that first time. It's not about getting really great coverage. Y'all know what we went through when we were painting our doors in our bathroom.
Yes.
That we learned being able to put it on as thin as possible gave us a much prettier finish when we came back to do that second coat.
Yes, and also, and two, when you do a little bit of a buildup, it deepens that finish as well.
That's a good word. That was what I was wanting you to be able to say. And then once it's dried, that second coat is on. Do we seal it?
No, you do not have to seal it. You want to just, again, let it dry overnight. It cures in about 5 days, 6 days. So if you're gonna, if it's a piece of furniture and you're gonna be using that piece of furniture, you're gonna put things on top, give it 5, 6 days to cure before you start putting things on top of it.
Here's something else you're going to notice with the Lux Lacquer. It doesn't feel like a regular paint. It feels like it's been enveloped with something.
Unicorn dust,
Oh,
butterfly kisses.
no, you know what I'm saying.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's very, very hardy. The nitrocellulose lacquer, it scratches really easy. The Lux Lacquer does not.
Much more durable.
It is so durable. All right. I have asthma. All right. So I want to take you and show you over
Take
here.
them around the studio.
I want you to see. Look at this. So this is a gorgeous white lacquered piece that we have here in the studio. I put the gilded knobs on here, but see, is that not fabulous? I love it. I absolutely love it. And there's a little chair that we had gotten that we actually lacquered in pink. And it just lets you see that sheen. It's absolutely gorgeous. So hopefully this is something that you can, now that you've got the tips and tricks of how to be able to do this, I'm so sorry, that you've got the tips and tricks in order to be able to do this, and you can be successful, and it's something that you can start enjoying the bragging rights from. So I hope you've enjoyed today. Share this video and tag some good friends. Take advantage of the code that we have for you and get 20% off on the Lux Lacquer for the next few days. We love you guys. Mwah. Share this video.